What's up?
Oh, I'm just compiling all the top sports scores, news, and odds so I can make the very best bets.
Me too. BetOnline.ag.
Join today and receive your 50% welcome bonus at betonline.ag.
It's really disappointing. I think, like you and I were kind of texting back and forth as you were, going nuts, I guess, on Twitter and like, it can work, it can happen. And I'm like, I don't think so. And then, of course, the stuff is coming out later today, obviously, that after Woj said that, this is going to happen, Kemba's going to sign 140. We know it, 4 years. Great, wonderful. And then Keith Smith and a few others, Kevin O'Connor was saying that there was some rumor that the Celtics were the secret team that was interested in Al Horford. And so things seemed to pick up a bit. But then cold water from Steve Bulpett, cold water from a couple other sources, and then, of course, the big bomb got dropped when Philly, it got announced was Philly. We can talk a bit about
which was real
Horford,
quick. Not long
Yeah.
after Tobias Harris, and when I saw the
Right.
Tobias Harris, ironically, I'm in New York City, but when all this was happening, I was driving to not far from Brooklyn. Just so you know, I'm right around here. No Kevin Durant sightings though, but I will tell you, I'm on my way here, and the Tobias Harris thing breaks, and I'm thinking, oh, great. They're going to use up all that cap space, and they're not going to be able to sign Horford. That's kind of what I was hoping for, but clearly I was wrong. And I had no idea what Philly's cap space deal was, but I know they lost JJ Redick, so I was like, haha, they're slipping back. And then you see Butler wants to leave, and I'm like, oh, they're horrible. But then obviously they're going to do a sign-in trade with Butler, so that one doesn't hurt as bad. And JJ's gone, and now they get Horford. They're stronger than they were last year.
I'm not so sure about that.
You're still concerned about the shooting.
Well, it's more than that. I mean, I think their five best players are all 6'8" above, and who exactly is going to guard Kemba Walker? I mean, I'm not saying that that's the end all be all, but like we've seen this story before, and while Horford was able to slow down Embiid, obviously we had Kyrie, we had IT. I mean, there was a number of options to throw at them. If we can figure out how to defend them, which is going to be a difficult challenge as a Celtics team, trying to figure out the defense, as we were talking about earlier. But who the heck is going to play the point guard spot? And, I understand what they're doing, but they've got more than $500 million invested in Embiid, Tobias Harris, Al Horford, and soon to be Ben Simmons, who's extension eligible. So, we're going to have $700 million thrown in that front court. Josh Richardson is an interesting player. I think he'll certainly make a huge impact to that team.
Helps with the shooting, right?
But
I mean,
a little bit, but
not a ton.
I don't think the team fits. Is the bottom line. I don't think they fit.
I think the money is
it.
rough with Al Horford. I mean, let's just get down to it right there. We had talked about stretching out all along. Somebody like Al Horford in Boston, like maybe he would accept less money for longer term, right? And I think we even thought maybe even 5 years, but definitely under that 20 million mark. And then he's getting near 28 million a year over 4 years. I think the Boston Celtics got a little scared because in reading Twitter, and this has nothing to do with the Celtics organization, but in looking at Danger Cart, he was kind of saying, I'm not sure I'd bring back Al Horford under these circumstances, even to begin with. I mean, I would think it would be a beauty to be able to just swap out Kemba Walker for Kyrie Irving and have another go with a full off season for Gordon Hayward. And it would have been very exciting to see that. And obviously, again, like we talked about kicking off the show, thin on the front court now, that would have been amazing. And I think that would have been an absolute dream for all Celtics fans. Now we've lost it, but Philly's going to get saddled with this salary, and he's a great veteran, and that club can use the locker room presence and can, they remove somebody like you just said who played great defense against Embiid. So that's one path path of resistance out of their way, which is great. But in year 4, they could be feeling that a little bit, especially as they look to re-sign all of these guys, including Embiid. And that might have been the Boston Celtics reluctance as well.
Yeah, I think so. I think money did come into to play. I mean, I think it came into play initially when they negotiated. I think it came into play even today. I'm sure that Al's guys came back to them once the whole Kemba Walker thing had come to light and was no longer a stealth suitor. And I'm sure that they talked and said, "Look, do you want to move off of 109 or whatever it is and 112?" And the Celtics said no. And so, you're going to take a Kemba, an Al Horford who could have made 30, but he's going to average no less than 25 million, 24 million maybe, depending upon if they meet their some of the incentives that are in that contract. And I just don't see it. I don't understand. I shouldn't say that. I see why this Philadelphia 76ers want him. I don't see why the Philadelphia 76ers, given their roster where it's made up, where it makes a lot of sense. And I think it's a really expensive security blanket for Joel Embiid. And I don't think it answers by spending 109 million. I don't think it answers some of their biggest questions, which really were in the backcourt and in playmaking. What Jimmy Butler did for that team in terms of playmaking and making that team a winner in the postseason, it was something that Ben Simmons was never able to do. It hadn't been able to do as a Philadelphia 76er. It's now going to be in his hands now, and sure, Al Horford has a part of that, but he's not not the primary distributor, not the primary ball handler. So I got questions. I realize maybe people say I'm hating. Fine, whatever. It's Philly. They deserve all the hate they get. But I just don't think I understand it. I think he would have made a bigger impact here and potentially here in Boston. I think they had a chance to be a finals team if Kawhi goes west. I think they would have been really in the mix. But oh
That's a
well,
really good
here we
point.
are.
That's a really good point. Depending on what happens with the Lakers, which we'll talk about as well, you're looking at an Eastern Conference, especially. I mean, who knows if Kevin Durant ever comes back to, full health and dominance, but the East is getting stronger. There's no doubt.